Hello again and welcome to another Warlord Wednesday, the episode of the week where we talk about all things bolt action. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Rather than covering a unit review or talking about a specific tactic, instead we will be covering the all-important topic of how to get started with bolt action. You see, ever since I started doing Warlord Wednesdays regularly, one of the most common comments that has been left on the videos, one of the most common questions that has been put to me is, Mordy and Glory, I love the idea of action, I really want to try it out, but I just don't know how to get started. So I thought it would be a good idea to put together a short video to help point people in the right direction. However, I just want to be clear about something. This is not a beginner's guide on how to get started in tabletop war games. It's not going to cover things like needing tape measures and dice, paints and glue. That is an entirely separate topic and one which is more than worthy of its own video. Rather, this episode is going to remain focused on bolt action specifically and which box sets I recommend you pick up so you don't end up wasting any of your money and you can get into the game as easily and as quickly as possible. So with all that said, without further ado, let's crack on and dive right into today's video. So the first avenue I want to cover is if you're getting into this game on your own. Perhaps you are already aware of a bolt action group in your area, or some of your friends have already got into the game and you want to join them and start playing with some World War II models. In this scenario, your best starting point is one of the starter armies. These are a big box set that Warlord Games makes for pretty much every faction, and they contain a plethora of models. You'll get some infantry, officers, and probably a tank or two as well. Regardless of which one of these boxes you go for, they almost all universally guarantee that you can build an 1,000 point, if not larger, army out of the contents. And that is really important. Most games of bolt action are standardized around 1,000 to a maximum of 1,250 points. In short, if you buy one of these starter armies, you're almost guaranteeing yourself the ability to build an army that's not only going to work on the tabletop, but will also get you up to the standard play level very quickly. Small side note here, but I've actually done an extensive review series covering nearly all of the starter armies that Warlord Games does, and I go through the contents of each box and give them a thumbs up or thumbs down. If that's something that you think would be useful or helpful, I'll make sure to link one of them at the end of this video. Now, I appreciate that me sitting here and saying the best way to start bolt action is to buy a starter army does seem rather self-explanatory, but let me just scratch a little bit below the surface here. Let me dive in a bit deeper. The thing about the starter armies are that they are a good deal and they do contain a full army, but they can be a little bit pricey, especially if you're thinking about getting into a game which you're not 100% sure about. This isn't like Warhammer 40k, where there is thousands upon thousands of resources and forum posts and videos that you can peruse and marinate in before you decide to take the plunge. But action is not quite as mainstream at the moment, and so it can be a little bit difficult to be like, I want to drop 100 to 120 pounds on a starter army for a game that I might play one go of it and be like, I'm not interested, I don't actually want to go any further. If this describes you, you just want to dip your toe into the water without having to fully plunge, you don't want to get burned financially, well, I can recommend two specific starter armies for you. These are the British Airborne and the US Airborne starter armies. Unlike the typical starter armies, which will cost you over £100, the Airborne ones come in at a cool 60 quid direct from Warlord Games. This is 40% less than your average starter army set, and what's even crazier is that if you buy a Airborne, whether it's British or US starter army, from a third-party retailer, one that's going to offer you a discount, then it is not out of the realms of possibility to get one of these sets for about £50, if not even a little bit less. Shameless plug here, guys. I know I'm rattling my tin cup on the side of the road, but I do have an affiliate link for one of these third-party retailers down in the description below. Element Games gives between 5 and 10% off your bolt action purchases, and they even have a referral code, which is also down in the description, to give you double store credit, meaning you can save even more money off future purchases. If you use that link, you'll be supporting the channel and you'll be saving yourself some money as well. But I'll stop flagellating myself in front of the gods of capitalism. Let's get back to the main topic at hand. The point I'm trying to make is that unlike other war games, you can get into bolt action for a relatively low price point. For as little as 50 quid and the price of a bottle of cheap supermarket superglue, you can have your army built and ready to go. You can start trying the game out and finding out if it is for you. However, this does presume that there is an already existing bolt action community for you to join. But that is not always the case. Sometimes there is no local bolt action scene. The two common situations when this occurs is that either you and a friend want to get into bolt action from the ground up for the first time, or maybe your local club is dominated by 40k, but there is one person there that is willing to try out bolt action and give it a go. In this case, you want to be looking at one of the beginner sets that Warlord does. These are Band of Brothers, Island Assault, and A Gentleman's War. Each one of these boxes contains about 500 points of not one, but two different opposing factions, meaning that you and a friend can split a box set and both get the foundations, the skeleton of an army right away. Not only that, they also come with some of those fundamental tools to start playing the game, such as blast templates, order dice, and regular D6 sided dice and pin markers too. All of the beginner sets are great, and you would do well to pick up any of them, but out of each one, I would recommend A Gentleman's War as the best. Band of Brothers is alright, although it's a little bit older now, and also the armies aren't quite balanced against each other. You've then got Island Assault, which is great, but it is based in the Pacific, which is a slightly more niche theatre. A Gentleman's War comes with the British and the Germans, and each side gets almost identical forces, 24 infantry and an armoured car. Straight off the bat, this is a more balanced beginning for both players, and it means that you're going to have nice, fun, equal games from the get-go. You're not going to end up with a negative game experience where someone thinks it's a bit unfair, and in both cases, it's a great place to start your bolt action journey. And the best bit about this whole thing, whichever starter army you pick, maybe Band of Brothers is available to you, but Gentleman's War isn't, that's fine. Like I said, they're all good to pick up. I just have a personal preference with the Gentleman's War one. But regardless of which one you go for, they come in at about £90 direct from Warlord. So again, if you go to a third-party retailer, you can probably get that for around 80 quid. And so if you split that with a friend, it means that two people can get into the game for about £40. That's a really low entry point when it comes to getting into tabletop games. But wait, there's more, because these beginner sets are a really good springboard. If you decide that you love the game and you want to go all in, then it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to buying a starter army, one of the things we mentioned before, and you combine that with your initial beginner set forces, and you're going to have a really fleshed out and well-rounded army. For example, if you did get the Gentleman's War box set, whoever got the Germans could then enhance their force by buying a Desert Africa Corps starter army. If they did that, for about 120 quid, taking into account discounts from third parties, you would have a German army that's going to have a tank, an armoured car, a big artillery piece, mortars, officers, machine guns, light anti-tank rifles, and all of the regular infantry that you would need. It's a fully fledged German army. At that point, you wouldn't need any more if you didn't want it. And it's the same with the British. I know so many people that started with Gentleman's War and then they bought an 8th Army set and Matilda, and that's it. And they've been happily playing bolt action for years already. And that, dear viewer, is how I recommend you get into bolt action. Of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are you a newer player with some questions? Please get them down there. And if you're a veteran who might have some more advice, you think I've missed something, please feel free to share it. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. And I just want to take a moment to say a massive thank you to all of the channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. You truly are the lifeblood of the channel, and I couldn't do this full time without you. And I want to take a moment to say a special thank you to all of my top tier supporters. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So thank you so much to Alan Blunt III, Amy DeSweet, Bon Vert, Ken Starr, Mark Panconi, Ross Miller, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Varney. Once again, guys, thank you. Genuinely couldn't do this without you. Your incredible and generous support just makes a huge, huge difference. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.